I recently saw a gorgeous see-through card created by Karen Aiken of Karen Burniston's design team, and it inspired me so much I decided to try some of my own. Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Hashik and I cased Karen's card to make this beautiful Sympathy card. Now case is an acronym for copy and selectively edit, at least the ones that I do, because I always change the card up to make it my own, and I always give credit to whoever I cased. So Karen's was an acetate card with a cover, a die, and this with Sympathy, which is new from Karen Burniston. So there's 3 Karens we're featuring right away. I love the look of hers. I did use a different cover die, and all the details on all the cards that I show you will be on my blog, and there's links in the description box as well as links to the products that I used. I added some pearls and did a little embossing, and then you can see that it's see-through. So when you open it up, you can see through it, and then I added pieces for the signature and some writing. So that was the first one that I made. And then I made a few more with the acetate. This is a wedding card, and again, I'm hoping you can see that. You can see right through it, and then there's always some type of piece there that gets repeated on the inside that you can write a message on. This one was a birthday card with a tailored expression background die. I used some of my favorite new mirror card, the iridescent mirror card on this one and this one. So you can see the rainbow effect that those have, which is just lovely. So this is a birthday card. And then I made years ago, I had made a floating easel card, and what that means is that you put acetate in a frame, and you can see through it. As you can tell in this case, I actually foiled on the acetate with some favorite foil from Deco Foil and a stencil and the Duo gel, so it didn't have to be heated. So this is a Sympathy card, and I have a link in the description box to a video I did that shows how to do a floating easel card. This is the acetate that I use. Now I had thinner, ones that didn't work, but years ago I had bought some 10 mil acetate, which is quite thick, and this one was from Diamond. I have a link to some more that I found on Amazon. It's a good weight, but I'll be honest, I did have some issues with the see-through acetate cards. For one thing, at least with this weight, it really doesn't open like a traditional card would. I mean, there's a little bit of a struggle there. And also what I found was, in working with the acetate, no matter how careful I was, I always end up with some goobers, I call them, some acetate, some adhesive pieces that just would not clean off the acetate no matter what I tried. So, every mistake is an opportunity for more embellishing. So I put some balloons on this one where that had happened, and on this one I added some extra hearts. And even on the first one that I made, even on the inside, there was some there and there, so I covered them up. So I still like them, but I did come up with some ideas that made that issue not as much of a problem. So what I did was I created a center for this card and cut out 2 pieces of acetate. So you can see that it opens up very easily and lays nicely. So that is one way I solved that problem. I cut 4 butterflies with a Stupendous butterfly die. And I am going to show you how I made that. Years ago, I had purchased some acetate printed sheets. It is from Stamp On It, and they're art acetates, and that's what I used for this butterfly. So you can see right through it to the other acetate, which is really pretty. I think years ago we used to put some kind of liquid glue on there and then put glitter on it, and I had a butterfly and a peacock and a few other ones of those still sitting in my stack of things to play with someday. So I have a link to these as well. These are really pretty whether on an acetate card or not. So I started with a Cat Scrappiness die. Now this is from her most recent Slimline set, so it's a bunch of dies, and this is one of the smaller ones, and I cut it. I just think when you add stitching like that, that's the wonky stitching, to a piece on a card, it just makes it much more interesting. So this was a perfect size to cut it and fold it in half, and that's what's going to bind the card together. And this is the butterfly from Stupendous, that die that I used. And then I also used a new Dina Kowal Impression Obsession stamp that to me it just says, is a perfect expression. Take care of you. So I've used that as well. So I have 2 pieces of acetate, and I've been using like a bounce to clean these off and take any extra little pieces of stuff off of there. And then I have put some tape, two-sided score tape inside this piece. And I cut this just a little big, just because it's easier to do that than try to fit it perfectly, and that way I can always trim it down. So, oh dear, right? Okay, gotta fix that. I should have put both pieces in, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have to really rip that apart, but it came apart pretty easily. So now you can see I have both pieces of acetate attached, and again I like these better, how they open and close. And then this tape I'm going to cover up with another piece of navy that's just a little bit smaller, so it will cover up that, and I'm going to trim those off as well. So I have previously cut 4 butterflies, and 2 of them are going to be on the inside, and you always have, with the acetate, this tape will show through, so you in most cases need to cover up from the back the same shape. So I've added some score tape to these butterflies that are plain and will be good for writing a message or something on the inside. And then on the back I am going to line up another butterfly. And then on the front, I left one just to show you. I have a Brutus Monroe stencil that's called Feathers, and I just thought it would be really pretty to do a little stenciling on a couple of the butterflies, and so I have that ready to go. I like to start darker in the center and then just go lighter around the edges, just to add a little interest to those butterflies. So I completed the front one just to save a little time, and I did the stenciling on that, and I stamped that "Take Care." And now I'm going to line this one up with those same butterflies. And then to cover up that adhesive, we have one more pretty butterfly. And then this acetate butterfly I showed you is a see-through again, and I just trimmed it off fairly closely, but you don't have to be exact because it's acetate. It really doesn't show that much. And I'm just going to attach it with a couple glue dots, which on this body did not show. But if it did, I could always add some gems or something. And then this butterfly I was going to have going this way. Take Care. Beautiful butterflies, which are perfect on any card, aren't they? And then I thought I would just add a couple of my favorite gems from Gina Marie Designs, just to highlight the words a little bit. And our acetate butterfly see-through card is complete. I didn't have as much issues with adding adhesive, and it opens and closes very easily, so I like how that worked. Another way to get around a little bit with the acetate and still have a see-through card is to use I used frosted binding cover. Now this is another something I had in my closet, and I'm like, I have to find a use for this. I'm sure I bought it for some type of technique, but what I found was it does score very easily, and I have a link to this as well. I don't think it had to be frosted, but I just thought the frosted was a really nice look. It's still see-through. It was a little easier in my mind to work with than the acetate, and in this case I did some more foiling with the Duo Gel from Thermoweb, and that doesn't, we don't have to worry about whether these are heat resistant or not. With the Duo Gel you don't need heat, and I was able to add some beautiful color, and you can still see through it, and it says "Miss Your Face," which is so true of friends and family these days. And then this is the card that I ended up making that I really loved, and I'm going to show you again how I did this. I'm hoping you can see. You can see through it, but it's just not quite obviously as clear as the acetate was. But see how easily that opens and closes, and it is still see-through, and it's a beautiful Sympathy card. This is a new sentiment set from Karen Burniston, and I love the mix of the fonts and the size, and I have cut that out. I've also cut out 3 of her rectangles. It's called Crosshatch rectangles, which is for signing and adding this sentiment to. And then this is Altenew's Layered Floral cover die. There's an A and a B. For this you would only need the A. I like both layers because it's really neat to do layered, but in this case I'm just using the one. And then this is a sticky Specks sheet that when you're adding a piece like this, that's the whole thing, I have my favorite glue. In fact, I'm going to use it for my sentiment, but it really doesn't work like on acetate, but this makes it easily sticky, and so I'm going to be using some sticky Specks sheet to add some adhesive to that. And I have my Scor-Pal out because it's easiest to line things up with that. So I am going to just lift this up and put this Altenew layered floral die, make sure it's open enough, or sticky, inside. And then press down and make sure you get stickiness all over it. And then this is that frosted cover that I'm using for the card, and I just found that scoring it, cutting it long, the 11 by 5.5, 11 by 4 1/4, it just seemed to fold and close easier, so that's the orientation that I'm using. And I will take this off the sticky sheets. And I'm going to stand up to do this. Now, if you have something that you need lined up perfectly on the side, I cut this again a little bit bigger, so I'm going to trim it off, but I definitely want the side to be straight. One way to do that is to use your Scor-Pal or your Scor-Buddy, whoops, and line it up. I can trim the other sides, but this side here has to be perfect, and that did work. Here, and now I'm just going to trim the excess. And you know, you could cut it perfectly and then try to line it up perfectly on 4 sides, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to get it perfect on one side, and then you can always trim off the excess and not get all frustrated. Now the rectangles are going to go on the inside and the outside, and it is easier to start with one here and then use that one to line the other ones up. So I'm going to put one about there, and then I'm going to put one on the back, and that way if you need to write a message, and also it covers up the adhesive, so you can write a message on the inside or just on the back if you don't want your message to show through the card, because it is see-through. So, and then this one is going to go on the front. And I know you could use a plain rectangle, but I just think adding the stitching or the accents on those just makes it so much more interesting. Now I have cut with Sympathy, but I left it in the paper because I want to do some color, add a little color to that. So I'm going to put gray on the width, and then on the Sympathy part, I need a paper to do this on. I'm going to go right through. I'm just going to try to get to the bottom half, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going to try to put something there and have a perfect line. I don't like that look. But I'm just adding some gray to just the bottom half or so, just to have it stand out, but not totally gray, which I really like that look. So with is going to go there, and Sympathy is going to go there. I'm going to use my favorite glue to attach that, and I'm going to try to remember to avoid the outsides of the Y and the S. I tried using the sticky specs on this, and it just ended up being harder than just using regular glue. And I'm really attaching this just to the paper, so that's fine. It's not being attached to acetate or to the frosted sheets, so the glue worked great for that. So I think this mix of fonts in this new with Sympathy is really beautiful, and it's always good to have these kinds of cards on hand so that in a moment of grief we don't have to create one. And then I'm going to add some pearls. Just to draw attention and add a little bit of interest. I like using different sizes. So the frosted see-through with Sympathy card is done. It was easy to make, as I showed you, and yet really classy and beautiful with that see-through frosted look. I love how these see-through cards turned out, and hope my cards inspired you to give some see-through cards a try. Thanks for watching, sharing, and subscribing, and thanks too for helping me share the joy of creativity.